Hello, everyone. I would just love to show you some useful tips you can use when you're on your first date. And by useful tips, I mean some questions you can ask because sometimes it's hard to know what to say. So, you could always lead off with a what do you like to do for fun? See if they have similar interests as you. Or you could say, are we having a second date? This is usually because the first date went well and you want to have a second one because you think they're a special little gal. And then you can always ask them, do you think we're related? Because I think that would be important to know if you're related to the person you're going on a date with. You probably wouldn't want to put your penis in them because if something comes out, it might not look right. And what do you mean you're 12? This usually happens to people who meet online. This is the opposite of what happens when you're catfishing. You actually find someone who is 12. I imagine that when somebody is 12 and you go on a date with them, you're ideally going to be 12 as well, but sometimes it just happens. You might be 70 and go on a date with a 12-year-old. And then, what food makes you horny? This is a good question to ask because you may be considering appetizers for the meal or the date, and you're thinking, oh man, I wonder if I can see what they're like in the sack later. And this is a good way to see, this is a good way to get them there. And then, what's your favorite position? If they say something related to X and Y position, you ask them, why the fuck are you talking about that right now? I hate physics. And oh my gosh, you guys, it's just such a good question to know because you can go straight into their favorite one after the very first date. And then obviously the last question you want to ask is, how was your day? What's going on? There's a freaking flashbang in my room. I love that intro. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. That's probably my favorite one that I've ever done. It's probably the funniest too. Uh, I spent a whole 10 minutes thinking that up, so yeah, I'm a comedic genius. Basically, I just talk about sex, and then people are like, oh my god. Oh gosh, my microphone may have cut out there. But anyways, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. So today, had my first class. It was dun 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 dun. I believe I should know what class I took. It was computer science. I hated that. We just talked about variables. It was the most interesting computer science class I've taken, and it was still boring, so that should tell you what it was like. I went to bed really late because I was playing Pokemon, and I was like, I want to finish this game. And I didn't finish the game because I realized I would have to probably stay up until 3 instead of 2. And I ended up staying up until 2:30 anyways. So I evened it out. There's that. I had my honors class today, which was very interesting. I made a lot of points about social media. One interesting thing social media has on impact of education is you can totally go to your school's Twitter page and see what they're posting about. See if, like, oh man, the track team did well. It's hard to do that. It was hard to do that in the past because you'd have to read about it in the paper, although the papers still do produce stuff like that. Oh god. Papers still do produce stuff like that. However, do you think most kids at school are going to be looking at papers? Probably not. At least I wouldn't. I hate paper. I don't ever use paper except for when writing notes, and that's, yeah, I don't know where I'm even going with this. It's fine. It's a Monday, am I right? Anyways, after that dab, I feel refreshed. Not because I did a dab off of a dab pen. I did a dab off my elbow, like the Cam Newton kind of one. Speaking of Cam Newton and sports, let's get into the calendar. Right after I tell you that my honors class, I already told you that I had my honors class. Dude, I wonder if people watching these videos are like, does this guy have dementia? Why does he keep referencing the same things over and over again? It's because if I take too many breaks while speaking, then it becomes obvious that I don't really know what I'm doing. So sometimes I will just say stuff to say stuff. Like right now, kind of is like that. Because if I have too many breaks, like I did in my very first video, then it takes me a lot longer to edit. But recently, I haven't been having to do all that sort of editing down of between clips because I've been talking the whole time. It's a lot more difficult for me right now while I'm making the video, but when I'm editing, it makes it very easy because all I have to go and do is add in these people and transitions for when they come in and transitions for when they leave and for when the video ends and the text part. Those parts are really fun. I like adding the text parts at the beginning. I went with the same one for a while. I don't know why I'm on this tangent right now. Anyways, I'm going to describe to you what happened on the day first so that way I can end off on the pictures. We have... Oh yeah, Pistol Pete scored 69 points, setting the NCAA record for most amount of points scored by a single player in a college basketball game. And he lost. Isn't that freaking nuts? I would hate that. Not Ryan Nemhart, but there was some player for UConn last year that was very, very good. And against Creighton, he had 40-something points, and Creighton still won. Creighton beat UConn 3 times last year, which is really impressive, considering the fact that UConn was a 7 seed and Creighton was a 5. If you're going by March Madness things, 7s could beat 5s just about as often as 5s can beat 7s. Anyways, yeah, he lost, and he went into the stands to go fight somebody, I believe. I wonder if Pistol Pete is dead. I'm not going to look that up and show you guys, but I will just look it up. So, we got Dan Quisenberry. Hold on, let me restart that. Dan Quisenberry, Carney Lansford, Steve Nash, never heard of him. Isaiah Thomas, never heard of him. Steven Stamkos, I actually haven't heard of that guy. Steven Stam. That's cool. It is February 7th, so anything can happen. I will say, I'm very excited for my math class because there is a female in that class that I like. And no, I'm not going to ask any of these questions to her. Maybe this last one, but probably not. I could get away with this one, probably, asking her if we're related. That one is maybe never going to come up in a conversation ever. What do you like to do for fun? That one sounds like I don't even know. It sounds like I have nothing interesting to say, so might as well just ask questions, kind of a question, instead of like, oh, wow, I'm actually super interested in what happened. And I would be interested in continuing this conversation by talking, as after you have finished talking. Does that make any sense? I took medication a little bit later today, so I'm very focused right now. I need to take my later acting dose for that class. What's nice about that class, especially with this girl, I get to walk. I potentially could walk there and walk back, but I think just walking back is nice because I don't want to disrupt her flow of her going to the class. She gets there very early. When I come back from the class, we live very close to each other. AKA, I could probably stomp on my feet. If I stomped with the force of, I don't know, 1 billion fidget spinners, I just looked at a fidget spinner, that's why I said that, then she would probably be able to hear me. I don't even know what that means, the 1 billion fidget spinners, but anyways, I could walk back with her, talk to her, ask if she has a boyfriend. If she does, dang it, I guess I have to wait, or I could just go after somebody else. And what's nice about walking back with her is that she doesn't have to walk home alone. And it gets very dark at 8:15, it's very dark. Like, I'm a very dark person. And we went to the C-store last time, the general store, after class. And she waited outside for me instead of just going back to her room, which was really nice. That makes me think that there might be a chance, but We'll see. It depends on if she has a boyfriend or not. Obviously, I don't want to intrude. I've been part of the third wheel too often, probably because I never learned how to ride a bike and only knew how to ride a tricycle. Anyways, that's gonna do it. Outro.